Okay, well, I decided I'd get on here just to share a little something different this time. You all know it's kind of like the winter months these days, and how there's just a little springtime stuff to work on. So, as of right now, I decided I would get out this new Bumblebee pattern that I made, and I will say, yes, for last year's Bumblebees, they didn't turn out so well, but there's just little tricks I've learned as to how to make them not so much work. So I've had to kind of learn that over time and try to make it so I would kind of make it a little less work than the last time around. And as we go through this video series, I'll tell you more about it as I demonstrate the new solutions that I have found. But this is the place where we're going to go about it here, go about what we do. And as a matter of fact, I have kind of shown you all here. This is the pattern for the wing. The wings are going to be made out of felt, as you see, so we can kind of draw these little lines to make the wings here, and so that's how that's going to come to work out for us. And then make it so we're going to see a little work come into this. We probably had a few lines we've made here before, but some of them here we just haven't gotten them dark enough, so I've kind of gone to the place where I've put this little piece of pattern in there for the wing, and then there's like a little extra piece where that has the tabs cut off. You see where I've drawn it on here where the tabs are still in, but we kind of trace over a little bit here, kind of put down the one with the tabs cut off so we can trace in the little lines where the tabs are going to stop and make it so we're going to see a little extra wing come in here and make its way to us. And so it's going to kind of be a little ways just like this, as you see, where we've kind of separated the tabs a little bit. We are going to kind of cut along here and try to make sure that you cut inside the line so that when you make the wing out on the actual Bumblebee, you do not have any ink left out to the edges. And so we're taking care of this like this, and so I say there's a place where we're going to cut along inside, and then we kind of got the little wing. We're going to cut out this other one too, try to make along the lines on it as well. And so this is how we got the wings to come out right here. One thing we're going to kind of do next here is to make it so we are going to have this little place here where we've got the body of the Bumblebee. First of all, there's some pieces. Yes, I've got the pieces I need, so we've taken care of that. To say there's a little place on here where we are going to take some black denim, which later is going to have some yellow stripes painted on it. So that is how we're going to come out with this little Bumblebee here. And so there's probably a little work to come along here, and we're going to try to make sure that we get things in the places where they need to be. There's probably something here where we kind of try to make sure that we get the lines of the denim right with each one. And so we're going to go where the grain or the stripes or the lines are going this way. And since this is black denim, we are going to take a little whiteout pin so that it shows a little better, and sort of make these little lines in here, shake it up a little bit so it works a little better, and then trace along the pattern on here with that, and then we will see something come out as a B in the end, and it's going to work its way around us, in us, through us. I say, it's just a little pattern of the way we go. I say, this little ways it takes us, and so, and so, and so, it's just going to be just about the way it'll turn out for this. And finally get a little place on here where we finally got it made out, and we are going to go the opposite direction with the complete other one and lay it down with the side down that has the drawings on it, the lines of the pattern, and kind of take it so we're going to make little lines, show up a little ways to see how it's all going to come out and turn out when we all do this. And see, I say that this little time in our lives when we work our way into this, it's just kind of interesting how this is going to turn out. And so finally we get to where we have the two sides to the B made out, and of course one thing we do is take the pattern that doesn't have the tabs and lay it down on the piece itself and sort of mark out the lines for the tabs on each side of the pattern. Make it so the B is going to come a little ways to make it so we're going to see a little thing for us and do a little work, I say, make it so it's going to kind of show a little light in us, and finally come down to this point where we got the two sides already done. So now we are going to cut these out and put the extra work that goes into this. Cut on the outside yellow lines to make sure we get all the tabs of the pattern in. And so as of this work, it's going to do its way. You don't have to worry so much about getting it on the inside with these, because these are going to be sewn along, unlike the wings that are going to be sticking out. And so I'd say this little bit of work is going to find a way in us. Into all we do, we say it's just kind of this work that it's going to come out nice and neat and handy. And so there's little places along this where we make the little lines come out, make it so it's all going to be generous and easy, and then to where we finally will get along the lines and make it so it's going to sound like it's just right in the end, and then finally come up to where it's just working to you and me. Little cut lines to make. I'd like to be cutting out probably a few more of these pattern sets, but I think that for this video we're probably going to do enough here. Do think as when it comes down to this, I might even have to sew it separate from the video, because this will probably be the first time I'll be using the whole pattern like this, because I tried a different pattern where we sort of like cut out the denim stripes and cut out the felt stripes, tried to cut the black stripes out of denim and the yellow stripes out of felt and sew them together, but that just ended up becoming a tremendous amount of work. Kind of like how, you know, when I've started doing raccoons, I tried to do the tails that way with the denim, with the white and blue and black, and sometimes it just kind of didn't turn out as good as it could have, so I ended up having to kind of change that one out and start painting in the stripes and all, because I tell y'all, people, you know, sometimes things can come out to be a little more work, and it might even get to the point where people won't really pay the price of all the work you put into something if you go that far. So there's some things people would rather just buy for a kid to have as a toy and take it so they could make something out of it to play with, but it's hard to pay the price of the amount of work when you do it like that. So we kind of come to where the work of our hands can certainly mean a lot to people, and then just to show a little ways of support, we finally will get it made. I probably also made some cuts that were a little too deep on this. This isn't good for the first time around, so you know, it's kind of come out just that way. There's a place now where we're going to come along the underside of the bee, and then the little work that shall make its way to that, I say, shall come down to what we know. And finally, we're going to, let's see if we can find the ink pen again, and which I think has disappeared or vanished or something, and we found it now. So we are going to take this and we are going to trace the underside of the bee on the pattern. The last time I did this, the bee had little legs, but I don't think I'm gonna fool with that this time around. Try to make this first one out just to see how it turns out without them and without the extra work of putting on the legs. So that'll be something we will just figure out here. And so we kind of got the little lines made in here where we finally got the underside of the bee drawn on, and there's a little piece that goes to the inside of the bee, so we put that in the center and trace along the little tabs here, and when we will get these tabs in, it'll kind of make it so we'll see a better picture come along in this, and then we'll just work our way along it the best way we can. And so finally, this is where it's going to be, this is what it's going to do. And finally, we got little places to cut out here and make it so we're going to see a little difference in what we do. And then finally make it out, work its way out of us, and finally get a little place in here where this work is going to be better to us, make us see it in us to the best ways we know how of doing it. We see that this little bit of work is taken away in us. Finally, we're going to cut along these little lines to the outside, and this is what it's going to be when we all get done. And so I say a good amount of work is taking place here. Last but not least, there are going to be two little antennas we are going to make. We're going to use the black felt to make those little antennas. And so, with the work setting aside, we're going to kind of put in a little bit of extra work in this. And these two little antennas we're going to make, there's one with a tab and one without, and so with this little experiment we do, we kind of got to sort of like make it so it's all going to kind of work around us, and try to do it a little bit lightly with the little whiteout pin, because this is felt, so you don't want any of the whiteout to come out on the other side of the felt. You kind of want to make sure you kind of get it thin enough so that it only goes on one side, on the side you're going to cut it out of, and then we make that little line there, and that other piece, I tell you, wherever I've laid it, things are just vanishing on me today. But I tell you, whenever this does happen, it's simple on the antennas just to go back and put little lines in the places where they go, and come back over that and make the little line come back again. And so we've come down to this where we have finally drawn these lines in just the right places, and so these are going to be what the little antennas are going to come out like. We will cut those lines, make it so we will kind of put a little extra time and work into little things we do, make it so we kind of got the little bit of work to do in them, and make them so it's going to be just like this, I say. And finally, other little lines we're going to take along, make them so they're going to stick along to us, see us all in a little bit of ways, and finally come down to where it's just a little, what you call it, antenna. So that's all we got to show for today. For all we've got to do, we finally did find that other piece under this piece of felt, so put it away and say that that's all for this video. Goodbye.